Hey guys, it's Matt here alongside the Dudes with Thumbs, Ryan and Adam, coming at you today to present to you who we voted for in the Tekken Cross Street by a voting poll. Now if you haven't already, I certainly suggest you head over to the Tekken Facebook like page and cast your vote for who you want to see in the Tekken Cross Street by roster. How this is going to work is each of us are going to present to you the 5 choices we made and why in both the Tekken and of course Street Fighter polls. So I'm going to start off with my Tekken choices, and firstly we have my main, Lei Hulong. Lei is what me and Ryan like to call my bro character, and what a bro character is, it's a character that you've stuck with throughout the entire series, even if you've had really bad games with him, even if he hasn't been in the game, he or she of course, you stuck with him and you love that character. That is Lei Hulong for me, and that's why I really want to see him in Tekken Cross Street Fighter, because we just scraped him in Street Fighter Cross Tekken DLC, and I'm really looking forward to playing him in that, because he looks great to play as, he looks like a fun character most of all, just like what he's in Tekken. With the 3D environment, you obviously got a lot of leeway to perform such fantastic looking combos. You know, you can throw in tons of different moves due to the free movesets that he has. Of course, he's a stance character, and probably the best one to play as due to the fact that he has free. Drunken Monkey, and the high R pose, and I really don't know the technical term for that. But yeah, you can integrate so many different combos together, making it really flashy, looking great on screen. Most of all, he's an agile character, so he's great and he works really well on my team. That's why I want to see him in Tekken Cross Street Fighter. Secondly, I voted for Paul Phoenix. Now, Paul is my sub-main, and him and Lei go really well as a team, and they pretty much make up bread and butter. You know, you've got the speed and agility of Lei, and then you've got the strength and power of Paul Phoenix. And I really enjoy playing this him, especially now that I'm learning to pick up a lot more than just the square and triangle moves. I'm sure you fought against those online before. And he can be a really fun and innovative character to play with. Thirdly, I'm going to go with Yoshimitsu. It's fucking Yoshimitsu. You want to see him get onto the roster. When you first look at the entire screen, the first one you look at is the cyborg ninja dude, or pirate, insect, whatever he is in the corresponding game. Yoshimitsu, of course, is probably one of the most entertaining characters to watch, especially at tournament level, especially you've got the amount of moves you can pull off, you've got the sword as well, you can throw that in, and I reckon he's worked really well against Street Fighter characters, especially in a 3D environment, as well as what it's going to be in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Fourth, I'm going with Steve Fox. Now, I've recently been picking up Steve, and I want him to sort of come into a sub-main kind of thing. I'm into British boxers, so, you know, I love seeing both Steve and Dudley in the same game. Steve, he's really fun to play with in the 3D environment. Of course, you've got all the dodging things rather than the typical kicks with X and circle. So I really enjoy throwing them in there, and you can pull off some great-looking combos with him. And he's a really powerful character, too. I'd like to see how he works against ranged characters, though. So depending on how that works in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I might retract that vote later on. Last for Tekken, I'm going to go with Heihachi Mishima. Heihashi's been my underlying character that I've always wanted to get better with. Not only is he really powerful, but he's got a great character behind him. And that's pretty much all I want to see, because Heihachi's an original, and I'm sure people will want to vote for him. Swiftly moving on to Street Fighter. Now, my first choice is, of course, my main, and if you've been listening, you'll know that is Dudley. Dudley is a really fun character to pick up and play as. He's got a great pressure game going on, he's got some great rush downs, and he's got a very extensive moveset, all which look fantastic if you can pull them off correctly. Dudley's been my #1 guy since the start of Street Fighter. I've picked him up first time, had a few ifs and buts about him, but I've picked him up and I'm starting to get really good with him now. So that's why I want to see him in Tekken Cross Street Fighter, maybe integrate the sort of Steve moveset that he has going on, maybe mix them up or something like that. Love to see what he's like in a 3D environment as well. I'm not sure how they'd really play that, but certainly like to see him get in there. As well I will with my second choice, which is Eagle. Eagle hasn't been around since the very first Street Fighter, I think, back in 1985. And he's pretty much the badass version of Dudley. I've never played as him before, but I've looked up some gameplay, and he looks like a really fun character to pick up and play as. So I'd certainly like to see him get into Tekken Cross Street Fighter, see how he plays, see how he differs from Dudley, and hopefully get some good team synergy going on, especially if they've got that going on in Tekken Cross Street Fighter. Thirdly, Dan Hibiki. Now, Ryan's going to love me for this. Everyone loves Dan. You know, he's gone so far from being that really terrible character that everyone used to take the piss out of, to being buffed to shit, and suddenly becoming one of the best characters in the game to play as. He's a very entertaining character to watch, and most importantly, win. It's great to see him get into tournament matches, especially when Ultra David plays as him. That's why I'd like to see him get into Tekken Cross Street Fighter. Depending if they run on the same canon as Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I don't know if he'll still be dead or not, but the amount of demand going on, I'm sure Dan's going to get in there somehow. So I'd love to see him get in with all the taunts and stuff. Fourth, Cammy. Of course, Adam is going to love me for that one as well. Cammy is a great rushdown character. The damage you can pull off, the pressure game, and of course the damn hitboxes. He makes up a great character, and I do love playing against Cammy and sometimes as Cammy. So I'd certainly like to see her get into Tekken Cross Street Fighter. Lastly, I voted for the one Shoto that I actually use, which is Oni. Oni's the most different and fun Shoto character to play as. He differences from Ryu and Ken. He's not the usual Hadouken, Shoryuken kind of thing. You actually get to have a bit of leeway with him. He has a very different moveset from most Shotos, and that's what makes him interesting to pick up and play as. I'd like to consider him a sub-main, but I don't really use him enough to really learn everything about him. I'm more of a Dudley player. But either way, I'd like to see him get into Tekken Cross Street Fighter, see how he rolls in, maybe get a storyline going with Paul Phoenix, find out who's the best in the universe or something like that. I just feel that he'd work really well in a 3D environment. So that's my 10 characters chosen. Please leave your own in the comment section below. It'll be very interesting to find out who you want to see in Tekken Cross Street Fighter and why. So, that's it from me now. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and enjoy the rest of the video.
Right, well, thanks for that, Matt. I'm about to start on my Tekken list also. First up be Armor King, mostly because he's my main. He's a character I very much enjoy using. He's simple, but he can do a lot of damage. And also because I'd like to see a wrestling-style character who's not, like, big on grapples. I think it'd be interesting to see, like, how he would work into it. You know, considering, like, if he had to work against Street Fighter characters, you just have to go for, like, big damage. Anyway, second up is Wong, which is largely due to curiosity, because Wong isn't big on juggles. I'm really curious to see how he would cope, because I'm presuming the Street Fighter characters wouldn't be that big on juggles. Like, Wong's based more on, like, a poke game, and without specials, I'm not entirely sure how he'd work, but it's not just because of that. I also really enjoy him. He's quite a blunt character, I'd say, and I don't think he gets enough recognition. Also, Roger, one, because he's got a lot of personality, as you would expect a character who is a kangaroo to have. He's my boxer, which is, I've got rather a lesser boxer, and also, I'm thinking, again, a bit of curiosity, quite a lack of range. Would characters with, like, Shoryukens and such, would they have a lot of priority? Would he have to, like, play a good low game or something? He'd be busy, hit quickly. And next up, Yoshimitsu. I've picked him up as of late as a sub, which I'm hoping to get a lot better as in. And I just really like him. I really like the style, both visually and how he actually plays. I think it's good to have a character who's a bit weird. Like, there's not really any other character who's exactly like him that I can think of. And I've played quite a lot of fighting games, you know, read into it a bit. And then Miguel, which is really just because, one, I really enjoy how he plays, and two, if it's a tag team game, this may be my team that I'd be carrying over from Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Armor King and Miguel. It'd be a lot of fun to, like, keep that team together. Also, I think he doesn't get enough recognition, but with his buffs in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, I've seen a lot more footage of him, so maybe he'll get a bit more popular, more likely to get in. On to Street Fighter, Dan. Yes, Dan. Yeah, this is, you may have noticed that Matt said earlier that Lei was the bro character, the favourite of all. Dan is that. He's blunt, he's got meaty damage, he's got simple but strong attacks, and people can become enraged upon losing. It's a lot of fun. Oh, Go, as in Go Hibiki, Dan's father, mostly because I'm pretty sure outside of community-made Mugen characters, I don't think he's ever been playable in anything. And I think it's really interesting they put him on there. Like, is he actually in consideration? Because, you know, I'd really like to see him actually, you know, fight it out with Sagat. To actually, you know, because he was the one who took his eye, for those who don't know, and Sagat killed him, which is where the old Dan-Sagat rivalry came from. Okay, next, Q, because I used him in Third Strike, I like his style. I like that he had a useful taunt. Like, outside of the occasional combo tool, taunts aren't particularly useful, like, say, see Deadpool for a combo tool taunt. Then there's Vega. Oh, actually, another thing on Q. If he doesn't get in, I think he deserves a background cameo, because that's his original shtick, appearing in the background. That would be like a nice little nod to him. Vega, because Vega... Ooh, Vega may be my favourite charge character, and from the start, he's my favourite, let's say, both in Street Fighter 2 and in 4. He stood out to me instantly as a character I really liked the look of, but I was just starting out, and he was a charge character, so I wasn't really good enough to pick him up. Which is a bit of a shame. I kind of moved on now. I've got a Shoto, which says a lot. A medium Shoto. An unconventional Shoto. Anyway. And then Alex, largely just because I really want to see Alex and King fight it out. I'm pretty sure I used half of the sayings in that already, but still, it's fine. Oh yeah, Alex, so he's sort of like I think I remember it being sort of a high-flying style of grappler. It's like sort of being able to jump into grapples and stuff. I think I'd really like to see how that would work, especially considering how they're bringing in JC in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and she's going to have a bit of a more agile, acrobatic thing to it, sort of a luchador style, which is interesting. I'd like to see maybe if some stuff from her could carry over into that setting. Anyway, right, that's been my stuff. Thank you.
Hey, so with the Tekken Cross Street Fighter votes going live, and I guess with the point of this video, with Matt and Ryan also doing their explanation of their votes, I've also been told to show my votes for each side and explain why I did them. So I'm going to start with the Tekken side. I voted for Alex, Lily, Oscar, Kazuya, and Alyssa. Reason being for this vote for Alex, it's a fucking dinosaur. Do I need any further justification? It's a little raptor in boxing gloves. Lily, I voted for. She's my Tekken main character. I don't really play much Tekken. I restarted out with Tekken 6. So, yeah, well, why not? Oscar, because let's face it, she's Lily's rival and they're hilarious together. And you can't have fish without chips. That's just wrong. And that's what the Canadians call dinner. I call it Nile. Fourth, Alyssa. I voted for Alyssa. I started using her recently more Tekken 6, just ahead of time, thinking she was going to be available at launch in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. How wrong was I? But whatever, she is coming along down the line, eventually. When? Who knows? I really enjoy using her. I like her, and also because, well, again, Robot Girl, in day ahead of. I like the shits and giggle stuff. And fifth, Kazuya. This is an interesting one. I am very much aware with the Tekken fanbase there's a big split between old and new Tekken. And of course with that comes a split of the main character, Kazuya and Jin. I don't really like using Jin that much, but I do like using Kazuya. So I vote for the one I like using. Maybe it was a wasted vote because let's face it, Kazekins and Jin are pretty much guaranteed to get in as is. Well, whatever. I had to make a fifth vote, right? On to the Street Fighter cast. This is where things get a little interesting. I voted for Cammy, Chun-Li, Eleanor, Urien, and Gen. To explain Cammy, well, if you need an explanation for why I voted Cammy, then I'm actually going to find you down and hit you. Not lightly, I mean literally hit you. Probably with some sort of blunt object around the back of the head. Hard. Chun-Li. Explaining on the Chun-Li, I really like using her in Street Fighter 2. Not too big on her in Street Fighter 4, but why not? She's an icon, right? On to Eleanor. Eleanor's one of my third strike subs. She's also just appeared in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. As I'm recording this, yesterday some leak footage hit the internet. Oh my god, she looks good. Really good. Alas, I think she'd work really well on the 3D plane. Plus, you know, a little few more appearances. On to Urien, who is my third strike main. And let's face it, any excuse to get this guy in another game is a good excuse. And also because Aegis Reflector is just probably the most broken thing I can think of in a character that's otherwise still pretty broken. And moving on to Gen. Now, Gen I picked solely for the reason I thought he would work well in 3D. like most Tekken characters, he has multiple stances. I think he's actually the only Street Fighter character I know of that has multiple stances, and with multiple stances comes different movesets, different specials, completely different way of playing. Which, let's face it, if all the work's already done for Harada, who is confessed to be a bit of a lazy sod, he doesn't already do that much. Anyhow, thanks for putting up with me.